on the stone, hands on the rail. First slam in the arena, first hard fail. They read your move and broke your line. One clean strike and you fell every time. Dust on your face, grin still alive. You said run it back just to survive. Round after round you stayed in the fire. Every scar taught you higher, higher. You learned their feints, their breath, their pace. You learned how to lose without losing your place. Round after round you rise. Round after round you rise. They knocked you down, you got back up. Now you drink that pain like a champion cup. Round after round you rise. Round after round you rise. From the floor to the crown, you don't stay down. New scars stacked up on your name. Bad brackets, bad draws, same old shame. Your alluvial shook, then stood again. Little by little they learned to win. One move left when the trap got set. One took the hit, never blinked yet. You stopped chasing glory, started to build. Slow hand, sharp heart, iron will. And after round you stayed in the fire. Every fall turned the spark a little brighter. You learned their feints, their breath, their pace. You learned how to lose without losing your place. Round after round you rise. Round after round you rise. They knocked you down, you got back up. Now you drink that pain like a champion cup. Round after round you rise. Round after round you rise. From the floor to the crown, you don't stay down. Long nights, long walks back, salt in your mouth, cracks in the track. Then one clean break, one perfect call. Your team moved like one and they took it all. No more panic, no more please, just calm in the blaze, eyes on the keys. The crowd went wild when your name hit high. You looked at the ring like, this is mine, mine, mine. This is mine, 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 mine. Round after round you rise. Round after round you rise. They knocked you down, you got back up. Now you drink that pain like a champion cup. Round after round you rise. Round after round you rise. From the floor to the crown, you don't stay down. Champion, no, you rise. Champion, now, you rise. The bruises were proof you came through. Okay, down, eyes up, we came to play. One last hit, then we all say, close by close, we hold our line. Steel in the breath and fire in the mind. No empty throne, no lone wolf run. Every hard round brings us as one. Hear that shout, it rolls through the floor. One more clash, then we want more. Shoulder to shoulder, we rise in the glow. Tightest fight makes the whole room grow. Stand as one, stand as one. Close battle, still we come. Stand as one, stand as one. We fight hard, then we build this home. Stand as one, stand as one. Every hand keeps lifting someone. Stand as one, stand as one. We play for the league, we play for the bond. Quick right turn and near miss spark. One clean break, then back to the dark. Tiny margins, big brave hearts. One shared win from a dozen starts. New names, old friends, same battle cry. We learn your moves and we cheer you by. When the dust sets, we
Alright, hello, welcome everybody to Illuvium Arena House League. A bunch of our community members are all here ready to show you what they've got on the battlefield, fighting for a bunch of prizes in the form of course, alluvial packs that'll be coming through Illuvium Deathmatch, and then also some alluvials right from the Silence House Community Rescue, where we have a handful of really nice opportunities here for people to grow their collection naturally through playing Illuvium, and strictly through gameplay, without any sort of marketplace interference of any kind, just actually being able to grow your collection just by gameplay. Good to see everybody off the start here. Hector, good to see you. Looking forward to seeing you in action a little bit later on. We have 3 matches ahead of ourselves here in just a couple of minutes. Going to quickly go over those in just a second, actually. Bear with me for one brief second. There we go, that's all situated. Let's get, of course, our schedule for today's action. Let's hop into the swing of things right here, right now. There we go. We have our 3 matches. Going to be starting us off here with the Carablu Cup. Ethan and Robertacho, their back and forth battle will continue here this afternoon. Robertacho got the last couple, but Ethan's starting to show up with a handful more wins in the last couple of weeks. Looking forward to seeing where that takes them both here today. Lynx League right after that. Both of our Carablus are going to have the opportunity, if they wish to hop into the Lynx League, since there is one open slot available alongside the normal bump that we would take. So it'll be a full lobby of 8 here with Mothpuck or Monster. We do have Patch Tourist type. We have Gat3652, we've got Illuvium Hunter, we've got Awake Darkness 69, and we have Zajac Wildfire also along for the ride here with another fantastic Lynx League battle. Then to wrap up our day here, it will be the Monarch Masters as our main event, featuring PSOP, which is the brother of Dr. Spoon, trying to pilot Dr. Spoon's team. So we'll have to see how the Alluvials behave for the substitute teacher, so to speak, and how Dr. Spoon's brother happens to be pulling off with that squad, or does with that squad. Short to follow will be, of course, Sota Hype, looking to continue their wins, or not their win streak, but just add on to the amount of wins they have so far in Illuvium Arena House League. Squawk going to be short to follow here as well, alongside Hector, Draknien, Wolverine 777, Hype, and Thanatos, alongside the winner of the Lynx League as well, going to take the bump into the Monarch Masters. In case there is no shows, we do have no Cacho on deck as well for Monarch Masters as well. So should have at least 2 of our games full 8 out of 8. Looking forward to that. Quickly just checking Discord for a second here. It looks like Dr. Spoon actually, the brother had something coming up, so it might be Dr. Spoon playing as PSOP. So the only thing I'm going to suggest there is just let me know, because if Dr. Spoon is piloting his own team, I would actually count that towards Dr. Spoon's record, even though the name might be different, if that makes sense. So, just going to let them know right now. That's okay, just let me know either way. There we go. And check Discord one more time here. I see a couple pings just in case there's any sort of last-minute entries. Nope, looks like all is good. We'll be hopping into our first match here in just a couple of moments. So good to see you here in chat alongside Ethan. Good luck in your matches. Awake Darkness 69 here as well. Good to see you. Good to see you. Ethan and Robertacho both locked in and ready to go here. So I'm not going to hold them up. Let's get into our very first game of the day, of course, with our Carablu Cups. Let's start this one off. Good luck, have fun, everybody. And while this one is happening, I do want to showcase over to the community rescue, because we had a couple of things going up. Of course, first and foremost, for our Carablus, what they're playing for here, and even though it's just the 2 of them, yeah, as long as they're giving me their best, no matter what, they're going to walk away with something. Because at the end of the day, as long as they're playing their best, that's all I ask, even when it's a smaller turnout for Carablu Cup. But then with the points that they're going for here through the community rescue, we have at least 2, or at least 1 of every single alluvial currently in the rescue, and any of the ones that you see in the green with at least 3 or more, those are allowed to be used as Carablu Cup prizes, which includes the tier 5s. But depending on how much or how many people are playing in the lobby will determine what kind of tier 5 I end up giving the winner. And of course, it's also just depending on how many we actually have available in the community rescue. So a big one that came up through the last stream, actually on Wednesday, two individuals, I believe it was Sota and X Billionaire, came through massively and donated foe and foruses, which were two Illuvials that we did not have very many of, even though I saw it when I would do the scan of the players' collections, that it was Illuvials that they desperately needed, but we didn't have any. We only had one before, and I couldn't give away the only copy. So now that we have 4 foes, for example, winner of today is probably going to end up getting a foe added to their roster if they don't have one already. So that's very exciting. I'm looking forward to that. I know Robert Tacho in particular, at least going into or after the event of last week, did not have a foe. That would be a big power spike, I imagine, getting, of course, that Terror Bird online. And of course, community rescue, this was all funded through one of 2 ways. It was either I would open up packs in Deathmatch, anything that I had extra before I threw it into Deathmatch, I put it into the community rescue. But a big portion of this, of course, is due to community donations. So to all of you that have helped build the community rescue as is to allow us to have this Carablu Cup prizing system set up and good to go for a good while now. Massive thank yous to everybody who made that happen. We're going to load on in. Ethan and Robert Tacho are currently in game, so we'll get into the swing of things in just a second. AJPY92, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Robert Tacho did mention to me that he had some friends looking to potentially join Carablu Cup sometime soon. Looking forward to seeing if that happens. Of course, always welcome. And now let's get into the battle. Let's hop on in game number 1 of the day. Of course, we're going to be doing our Carablu Cup first. We're going to do Lynx League second. And then last but not least will be our Monarch Masters main event. Our 2 players in this lobby, our 2 Carablus, again, been battling it out with each other basically for the last month and a half. Basically, as long as Carablu Cup has been a thing, these 2 have been battling it out. Of course, with Robert Tacho and Ethan. Ethan, over the last couple of matches here in the Carablu Cup, has been really favoring that Galewind bow. We're going to see it come out to play once again here for Ethan. And then Robert Tacho does currently have the Shadow Maul, which does suggest, of course, Granite Mystic. It's set up to potentially be Granite Mystic, at least right off the rip here. Just have to wait until that Apon gets evolved, and then it'll have that Mystic trait, which, of course, then is when things really get at least a little bit scary. When you get more Mystics, that's when it gets really scary. But at least off the start here, getting a nice damage amplification buff alongside damage reduction for any damage taken when you drop below half, that is definitely a nice little turnaround. Region for today is going to be Sancta Mesa, a nice chill one actually, where we're going to be able to just roll the weapon one more time. Make sure you get the weapon that you would like. And of course, you cannot sleep on the bots. If they decide to play an aggressive playstyle, like a lot of games, if you think you're going up against a bot, you kind of think like you're on cruise control, like it's nobody's business, right? Well, these bots are actually quite difficult. We've seen them cook up some rather interesting strategies, whether it be for Berserker, or as we're seeing here from one of our bots, they've actually just power leveled up to level 5 to put the hurt on you early. So that is interesting to see as we go through our next couple of matches. In terms of the metagame, of course, I'm going to be using the Carablu Cup here as kind of a bit of a introduction of sorts, kind of explain everything that's going around Illuvium, because we are in a little bit of a quiet spot. We did just have a ranked ladder reset, I think it was about a week ago. On last Thursday, we had the ranked resets. A lot of players pushing hard already. A handful of new players coming in right on the ranked reset as well, which is cool to see. But it's definitely still a tough time here for the new player. Of course, Illuvium Arena, in terms of... That was my foot on my chair. That wasn't a fart, I promise. But my Illuvium Arena as a whole has not necessarily gotten any sort of major updates in a long time. But at the same time, it's been known that Illuvium Arena has had its development essentially halted. not canceled, but it's just essentially paused for the time being so that Obelisk Rising could get the majority of the focus. And then, of course, Illuvium Deathmatch as well got a ton of resources. And to this day, it seems like they're having some sort of update, some sort of change every couple of days or so. But of course, isn't everybody's cup of tea, but there is still some activity, of course, on the Illuvium Arenas, or the Illuvium side of things. Illuvium Arena, though, in terms of like a patch, even like some sort of balance patch, I mean, the devs a long time ago said that they wanted to basically have some sort of balance patch maybe every 3 weeks. Unfortunately, that has not necessarily come to fruition, and we end up getting kind of the same sort of metagames for the long foreseeable future. It forces a lot of people to be creative. I know we saw Texan, for example, in last week's House League, pull off a team composition, a little bit of a mixture that was not necessarily traditional, and it did result in Texan getting a win. Then Danny Levia, first off, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I imagine how I was just talking about Robert Tacho having some friends maybe interested in competing in the Carablu Cup sometime soon. I am going to take the benefit of the doubt and say that you're just trolling your friend. However, yeah, that'd be nice if that is not the case, of course. Because that's, at the end of the day, while this is a semi-competitive environment, this is also more so of a community hangout, so to speak. But I don't mind a little bit of trash talk here and there at the same time, as long as we're not genuinely being nasty towards each other. Dr. Spoon, good evening. I hope you're having a fantastic day. From what it sounds like, you're going to be on the battlefield a little bit later. I was expecting PSOP or your brother, but it sounds like there was a little bit of switch up. I saw your message at the last possible second. Quickly answering a question here in the Discord that I'll bring over to the chat here as well. Because if you had happened to check out my YouTube profile, you might have noticed, first off, there's actually 5 streams lined up for the next upcoming week. It'll be awesome being so busy and in Illuvium as often as I am. But one of the things that will be interesting is going forward next week. Of course, next week, it's going to be Illuvium Arena House League Week 15. But we're completely removing the divisions because, yeah, we're going to do this again. Ownership off for next week. Everybody is on the same playing field. Levels, stats, does not matter for next week. The prizes are still there. The Illuvials are still going to be there. But yeah, make sure you got your strategies and your timings all sharpened up, because your Illuvials, your training is going to be not as prevalent in terms of your levels and stats, of course. So make sure that you are there for next week, especially if you're one of those players who thinks you've got the tactics, thinks you have the gameplay to be able to beat maybe some of our top guys. This is your chance to show it off when everybody is on the same playing field. And of course, I'll go over the rest of the schedule for next week sometimes a little bit later, but I do want to take a peek and see what our players are currently up to here. The Mystic style, oh, this is actually Mystic Mud coming out here from Robert Tacho. So based off of the Ratty data statistics for your most played and winningest compositions, Mud Mystic currently #1 by a long shot, with Inferno Behemoth and Inferno Arcanite short to follow. The thing about Mud, though, is that, of course, you're doing a lot of rolling early. You're stuck in level 5, so you can get out-leveled. You can take a lot of damage, but if you do manage to hit the 3 fully evolved monkeys, while also getting at least a TNT to get Granite, it could be very, very devastating. You could potentially spin that off once you get your self either a water tank or potentially get the Flood, so that way you can get, or even the Ebbas in general, so you can become Mud Mystic. That's how you'd end up pulling it off there. So looking forward to seeing how that ends up going. Meanwhile, here with Ethit, we do see they've been kind of like in their shock, kind of added on ever so slightly. I see a very early Squiz coming out to play, or at least it's on the bench. It's ready to get thrown in at any time. But we currently have Templar, at least the setup here for Ethit. Ethit versus Robert Tacho. And in terms of a full-out built team, it does look like Ethit has the level advantage, but Robert Tacho has more evolutions and more synergies currently online. So let's see how this ends up going. Right now, this is looking pretty good for Ethit, but that Lynx coming out here from Robert Tacho, let's take a look, level 41, beautifully offensive, with all the augments you could possibly want here as well. That plus the TNT firing shots in the background. This TNT doing fantastic work alongside this Gorilla too. So even though Ethan had the level advantage, we're seeing just the synergies and the evolutions come on through beautifully here for Robert Tacho. And the first encounter between our two actual players here in this lobby, this one's going to go over to Robert Tacho. Set the stage nice and early. And we have now an NPC round coming on through. Now, Ethit, again, very similar to what we see traditionally for Ethit in the last couple of house leagues, where they are very content with just holding on to their credits to an absurd rate. Sometimes I would even say we'll sometimes see them into the hundreds of credits and wait until like level 7 or level 8 or something along those lines to truly go nuts. And that is something that you can do when there's not as many real players in the game, when you have a lot of bots like in this kind of scenario here. Because while the bots are good, if you get the first couple of Illuvials that are kind of your bread and butter, then you might be able to get a little bit comfortable, but not too comfy at the same time though, because they can absolutely sneak win away from you here. We'll hang with Robert Tacho one more time because I want to keep an eye on the Mud Illuvials in particular. We do see the Greater Monk here leading the charge here, but has the other one on the bench as well. 2 more Monk Ears away, 1 more Monk Ear away from getting a Mud unit. The Exalted Apon is here, so that's already 1 Mud support unit coming on through. And then there is a Greater Gorilla that is on the bench. 3 more of those gorillas, and they would be in perfect position as well. And then even Cephorus is right around the corner here for Robert Tacho if they potentially wanted to go all the way here for the snail, get the big snail online. I believe they had gotten one not too long ago as well from a pack from the House League openings, if I recall correctly, so we'll have to see where that comes from. But yeah, this Monk here is going to be absolutely devastating. The only thing with this current build here for Robert Tacho onto this Monk here is that there is no safety net. It is strictly DPS, and it's damn well doing a ton of damage. But if it gets caught out of position once, there is no phase breaker, there is no restorating impact reactor to try and keep that Monk here sustained and safe, which could be a scary way to play. And the other thing that I will take note here for Robert Tacho as of right now, of course, this is kind of a bit of a metagame move because you do see Ethan going for essentially the same build that we're used to him playing. But with there being a lot of, or not a lot of air, at least not as of right now, but you imagine that Jotun's going to eventually be the carry here, which is going to utilize that air, utilize the dodge chance that comes alongside that air passive on the polar bear. So you may want to secure some sort of true sight early, just have it ready just in case they go that way. In a worst case scenario, you can always re-roll to something different. At least that's something I like to do personally. I'll grab true sight, and then if I don't need it, I'll recycle the augment and grab something just with better raw stats later. But we'll have to see. Let's take a look and see what Ethit's got going on. Templar is currently online, and we're starting to build up for a Fur Knight here as well, that add on an additional Templar. So this fighting group coming out here from Ethit, there's a lot of upfront consistent fighting damage, but also again with the Templar being allowed to spread stats very, or not very quickly, but throughout the fight, just consistently spreading stats to their weaker teammates to just make everybody absolutely nasty. It's one of the harder team comps, I think, to play in terms of focusing, but Templar's never like a bad thing to just kind of splash onto a team. I know a lot of people will pick up Rylu and the Fern just kind of naturally through their team comps, and they happen to hit Templar, so they're completely content with it. It's very rare that I actually see even the Ranger go full committal onto the Templar as well. I wonder if that will change once we see the Fur Knight get completed. We'll have to see. Credits-wise, Robert Tacho has spent a little bit more, and the Exalted Monk Gear is here, so that is going to be at least the possibility for 3 mud now online. They did find the Seaforest, so getting Snail involved as well. It's not a mud unit, but I mean, it's not too bad, especially when the fight starts to get into that last couple of Illuvials, or maybe some of those missiles are starting to hit more than, or hits like 1 target or maybe 2 targets. Because the Seaforest, it still shoots the same amount of missiles no matter what. And if there's less targets, that just means each one is going to be getting hit that much harder. It doing as it does. Over 100 credits as of right now. The Revo got added into here for a little bit of additional dust. So especially now that dust is coming into the play, and we do see on the bench here as well, the Winxes are starting to get ready to become evolved. Because once that evolves into Quinks, that'll be more dust coming on through. So if you have no sort of safety net, if you have no true sight, you could be in for a world of hurt here. Let's take a look and see what Robert Tacho is cooking. Again, it's still Mystic. It is Granite. There's the 2 Mud. But I imagine until we do see Flood get evolved, we do see the Ebb on the bench here. So it's just a matter of time before Flood does come into the swing of things. If we drop it down, and that's essentially when Ebb would get its most amount of use. I imagine we'll start seeing the roll for that around level 8. Level 7 would be a little bit of a scary time to do so, especially since as a part of a Mystic team, you're also looking for the Elk line, so the Adorius, which is very, very tough. And if you're rolling at level 7, you don't have a good shot at actually hitting Adors at all. I think it's like a 12% chance to actually hit a tier 5, let alone it being the tier 5 that you actually want. So I imagine pushing to level 8, maybe pushing to level 9, and then going for your rolling at the same time. So you're looking for Ebbs and Adorius at the exact same time. Because an Exalted Monk here, I mean, this thing can absolutely carry. We saw the Greater Monk here. It was a little bit worse for wear, but I understand why Robert Tacho focused on this Exalted Monk here. Because once this thing was fully evolved, now we look at those stats. Offensively, it's an absolute gorgeous beast. Level 41 as well, so it's gotten a little bit of battle experience on the arena field as well. That's a handful, but gotten a lot of experience, of course, as well. But it is kind of scary in the fact that this team does not naturally have a tank as well until Goliath comes online, which again is also a tier 5 unit. So this portion here where you're sitting at level 7 can be a little bit rough. Keeping an eye on Ethit as well as these 2 players are going at it. Over 100 credits currently in the bank. The one thing that's kind of annoying here for Robert Tacho, actually, is that Ethit did steal a handful of these gorillas, and that's making it very rough here for Robert Tacho. Obviously, they'd love to be able to go for 4 Mud. 4 Mud is when things really get ridiculous. However, even though they are tier 1s, it can be a little bit irritating when you are contested, and those gorillas being across, not just for for Ethit, but for a couple of these players, some of the bots here as well, taking some very, very tough to deal with. But Robert Tacho, at least in the meantime, able to hold strong here into this one. Ethit a little bit worse for wear, but also starting to ramp up a little bit. I see that Mammoth on board here, or not on board, but on the bench, ready to come on through. Just a matter of time before they level up and throw that onto the field. That would be air unit number 5. So they are very close, actually, to getting 6 air. And here we go. This is the battle that we've been all waiting for. Ethit versus Robert Tacho. Both of these players above 100 credits. What moves get made? One thing also annoying here for Robert Tacho. Bot number 4 did steal the Geyser. That is one of the main mystics that you would be looking for here in Mystic-based team, and a bot stole it. So that is super, super infuriating here for Robert Tacho. Going to slow things down. You could at least get up to Flood, but again, Flood actually needs to be evolved into, or yeah, not even Flood. The Ebb has to be fully evolved into the Mystic to actually, or into the Geyser to actually get Mystic. So it's very, very tough to actually deal with. Ethit, with this heavy air kind of composition, not looking too bad. Let's see how it goes. Can the Granite and that additional safety net here for the Sea Forest and the Ranger potentially turn this around? Just hold the line just a little bit longer. So far, a very even battle, but that Monk gear is still alive. That's going to be the big difference maker. Gorilla on the side of Ethan does end up going down. A little bit of a 4-on-4. The Snail's literally in the middle of the field at this point, going to end up tanking on through. And Ethan has the power spike they were looking for. That must have been infuriating to deal with. That Monk gear is in the middle of the fight. It's swinging away, but it is just missing like every other hit, which has to be so frustrating. But there is still time. Robert Tacho can absolutely still adjust. But there we go, 1 for 1 when our two, we're 1-1 here for our players when they're actually competing up against each other. And holy heck, are they both rather rich. They're essentially just waiting for these bots to, I imagine, just to die. Because bot 7 and bot 4 also picked up a handful of the Beetles. We see the Goliath online for the both of them as well. So yeah, Robert Tacho is getting straight up denied here ever so slightly by these bots over and over again with a handful of different Illuvials and different evolutions just kind of being blocked for the time being. But either going to be able to clean this one up. Robert Tacho going to essentially leave the Gorilla in the dust. Once you get up to level 8, I do believe the tier or chance of a tier 1 is only 10%. So once you go up to level 8 or go up even higher, you're essentially tapping out to the fact that I'm not getting 4 mud. So unfortunate there for Robert Tacho. They do level up all the way to 9, actually. They spent all the way down to about 50 credits. Let's take a look and see what they're cooking. They did manage to get at least one little beetle in the front line, help assist that Monk here, because again, as of the early portions of this game, there was not a true tank actually in the battle. And they also throw the Ebb in here as well to get at least up to 3 mud. So again, just that Gorilla being the absolute thorn in the side, and they have actually both of the Gorillas on the field at the same time here. So just trying to flood the board a little bit. Tired of being outgunned, at least in regards to being outnumbered. Because they had the power, they just didn't have the numbers. Now they actually really surpassing a couple of these players. And this time, they absolutely crushed that bot like it was nobody's business. Also had that hyper, that super effectiveness, of course, with Earth going up against a full fire team. Yeah, I'm going to keep that in mind. Even though it's a 10% chance to hit tier 1s, there is still a world where one of two things happens. Where either we get maybe a chip for a composite chip, so we can potentially get, say, a mud chip so you get 4 mud that way. Or just as that 10% chance, maybe you hit a couple of those gorillas while a couple of these players start getting knocked out. Say bot 5, for example, has the greater gorilla that could add a few more into the pool. You're not going to knock out Ethan until the end game, but you might also be able to get rid of bot 7 and potentially do it that way. So NPC round, as we're getting into our closing moments here. Again, Lynx League, you are on deck after this. So please make sure you are ready. I will have the lobby code for you very soon. Again, that's Mothpuck or Monster. We've got Patch Tourist type. We've got Gat. We've got Illuvium Hunter, Awake Darkness, Sejak Wildfire. And then, of course, our 2 Carablus. If they would like to play, they can also join into that match as well. Goliath online here for Robert Tacho. That's going to now put 3 granite onto the battlefield. Nice little pickup. But let's take a look at Etha and see what they've been essentially cooking up here. We do have the addition of the Adorito, which is just going to suit this composition rather nicely as well. With the fighters being at least a little bit tankier, it does give the Adorito a little bit more time to actually load up those heals and keep the team alive. But at the same time, that's also stealing away the add-ons from Robert Tacho to make it extremely difficult to go for 3 or 4 Mystics. Now this team coming out here from bot number 7, this actually ended up being, I believe, a rogue Predator Vanguard team. Yeah, so this is actually a very, very scary team composition. A Flish actually trying to get involved here with a couple of these additional shots. But yeah, this was actually a very scary team, and this is what I'm saying. You can't sleep on the bots because they actually do put together some pretty decent compositions. And Ethan actually going to fall down to 22 HP now. And I believe they now have to deal with the ghost of Robert Tacho. We are down to our top 3. And Ethan going up against the ghost of Robert Tacho. And then the bot actually up against Robert Tacho. And they straight up just got the slash in. Granted, the benefit here for Robertacho is the fact that the augments on this slash-in are a little bit off, thankfully. But I mean, the Immunus Void Reactor, so that you can't actually stun the thing, that's not bad, all things considered. And if I do recall correctly, I think that keeps you safe from mud stealing as well. So, oddly enough, bot number 7 might be cooking and giving a couple of our Carablus a hard time here. Let's see how it goes. The Rogue's going to dive on through. That Seafarus is going to essentially catch everything. Of course, I know the Seafarus is a bit of a battle mage, but having all of those rogues on top of it is not going to last it very long. The Slash-in particular doing a lot of work. How many shots can the Seafarus get? Can it get a possible second? It will not. And now it immediately turns and burns right onto the monk here. This is a worst-case scenario here for Robertacho. Going back and forth here. That Slash-in still very, very safe, very healthy, and the carry being gone is going to cause trouble. But I want that at the same time keep an eye on Ethan. This might be potential kill shot here if things do not go their way. They're going up against Robertacho, of course, as well. And the Slash-in chopping away. There's going to be that. Let's hop over to Ethan. Can they hang on with this Templar fighting base style? They did actually get the win there. There we go. This is what we've been waiting for. Ethan all the way up to level 10 with over 80 credits in the bank. If they lose here, they're probably going to be knocked out. It's round 25. Some of these hits are very, very hard. I imagine we'll see some spending sometime soon. The Mammoth, 1 Mammoth away from getting the fully evolved variant. 2 or 3 more Ferns, rather, away from getting Blazonite. But the time is ticking. The credits are still in the bank. Big Mammoth online there for Ethan. It's a good little addition. 5 air going to be the play with that Big Mammoth now adding Natural Harbinger. But still, if they end up going down here, there's a lot of credits still at play. Again, 7 Earth coming on through here, though, from Robertacho. So a lot of this physical damage that Ethan's team is trying to do will be mitigated thanks to the high mitigation levels of these Earth Illuvials. But of course, that Mammoth is going to make things very irritating here for the Monk here. Every single time it comes on through, it's going to either eat a stun or it's going to get shunted away. I think the drone's kind of spoiling us a little bit here because it's looking pretty good for Ethan. The Mammoth has just not died because look at this. This Monk here has been sitting in front of this Mammoth this entire time and has not been able to actually touch it. Big win here for Ethan. Now Robertacho has to figure out what to do with these rogues. Ethan as well in the same position. This very well could end up being the final battle because we're far enough in. I think if Ethan does lose, I mean, a 22-point hit at this part in the game, I imagine is very, very doable. Blazonite online here for Ethan for a bit of additional support. Boost the attack speed and just interrupt. But can they actually get this damn Penguin once again? One more Adorito here for Robertacho, but they were not able to get up to Adoria, so the Mystic play did not quite come into fruition. Ramp fight to the skies. What does it end up dealing damage to? I mean, that Lynx trying to stand this as well has that rogue chip, and it's a lot of additional damage. Ethan looks like they've controlled the rogues rather nicely. Going to end up winning this one. Let's go over to Robertacho. And will they be able to survive the rogue onslaught? It looks like it's close, actually. A lot of the DPS Illuvials here for Robertacho have fallen. Adoria, or not the Adorius, but the Adorito, trying its damnedest to keep the tank line alive. I think it's going to require overtime rounds here to come try and save Robertacho, give themselves one more opportunity at very least to try and take down Ethan. And the overtime pulses are going to come on through, and sure enough, Robertacho will hang on by a thread. So we get an NPC round, one more load here of credits to potentially turn this fight around. Robertacho potentially going to lose his win streak. Chant is saying, yeah, they got 2 wins in a row over the last 2 weeks. Still the most winningest player currently in the Carablu Cup, and almost up there for most winningest player overall in the entirety of Illuvium Arena House Leagues. Looking for one more on the board, but this is going to, if they manage to pull this off, it is a bit of a come-from-behind victory. I mean, Ethan's still absolutely within striking distance, but I like their team a little bit more. The Harbingers, the Templar, Riley even getting involved here as well. But the big difference maker, I think, here for Robert Tacho, is there some way that you can get true sight onto one of your Illuvials, especially the Monkeer? Because right now, there are many Illuvials here for Ethit that are just going to completely ignore your auto attacks, dodge essentially everything. Dodge added on to a tank Riley, of all things, oddly enough. Even got the air chip onto the Greater Gorilla so that it's just super, super slippery. And that's now fully 6 air here for Ethit. The team has come into fruition. How much more credits can be potentially on the line? Gazatep actually going to be coming on through here for Ethit, so that is now a beautiful Enchanter coming on through. I don't think they have Enchanter actually online, but it doesn't matter now that Gazatep is here. Those charming effects are just going to be coming out so quickly. So I'd argue, with no true sight, that Robert Tacho could be in for a world of hurt. Ethit might be able to close it out right here, right now. Let's see. Monkeer immediately gets cleaved off the field. And the big carry being gone, I think, is going to spell doom here for Robert Tacho and allow Ethit to maybe break the streak. The Blazknight still firing away here in the back lines, but do not sleep on this scaling Sephirus. It does have the 2 Arcane Omega reactors. It's got the Omnivamp. It's getting additional Omega power, but it's not going to be enough at all. The units could not be hit at all. 6 air coming in crazy here for Ethit, and Ethit will be your winner here in the Carablu Cup. Congratulations. Crazy little team coming out here from Ethit to get the win here today. Picked up the Gilwyn bow, as they always tend to do, but between the chips and then going for a little bit of dust, going for just strictly dodge, essentially. Dodge and then the support for that dodge to also allow for the Templars to make their teammates just that much stronger the longer the fight went on as well. GG's nonetheless here for everybody, and of course do stick around if you want your shot at the Lynx League. Both of you are completely in the clear to come give it a shot. We have 2 spots in the Lynx League, so you're more than welcome to come compete. Okay, very quickly going to mark down our pricing here for today. Ethit's going to be getting that one. And then Robert Tacho for second. And then, of course, now those 2 players, of course, it was just a 2-player lobby, or 2 real player lobbies. Of course, you still have to deal with the bots. But here's the thing. We have these prizes. Of course, big thank you to Illuvium for helping in regards to these skulls, which then allow us to give players these alluvial packs, grow their team just strictly by playing the game without any sort of market even necessary. And then, of course, the community rescue as well, able to help you build your collection as a newcomer. And regardless of how many people are here, I want to thank you for coming out. The amount of prizing I give doesn't change if there's 100 people or if there's 2. For the most part, the size of the prizes still stay the same. I say basically every single week, for example, with the Monarch Masters, I would be absolutely loving to be able to add multiple Monarch Masters lobbies, but it's all depending on the amount of registrations. And I want to thank you and make it worth your while for coming out and hanging out as a community. So, either going to be getting 3 packs of Illuvials alongside potentially a tier 5 stage 1 from the community rescue. We'll see what they happen to be missing and potentially help get them a rather rare Illuvial added to the collection. Robert Tacho, though, has, of course, 7 points of the community rescue coming on through, and those could still give you tier 4s, tier 3s, and some other Illuvials. So we're slowly but surely starting to top off the collections of our Carablu Cup regulars to the point where I imagine they're probably going to get promoted up into Lynx League very, very soon. And that's not meant to be punishment. That's meant to be showing growth. Okay. Lynx League. Lobbies going into the Discord chat in just a moment's time. Of course, a reminder, our players in this one, we've got Mothpuck or Monster. We have Ghost Emoji, aka Patch Tourist. We have Gat. Illuvium Hunter. Awake Darkness. Sajak. Robert Tacho, you're absolutely more than welcome to come on back here into this one. And then, of course, Ethit, you're absolutely more than welcome to join us here for Lynx League. Yeah, Ethan and Robert Tacho getting Lynx League collection would be nice character development. Absolutely, and that was the main goal here with Illuvium Arena House League. Is I want people to like come in and be able to play on at a close playing field, but then also just be able to grow regardless of how much money they can throw into the game or what Illuvials happen to have come their way when they did get a pack or something along those lines. Let the community help players grow just by putting the time in, learning the game, and being at it like consistently. So I'm very excited for the day that Robert Tacho and for Ethit to move up into Lynx League, because that would be absolutely incredible. And then Lynx is moving into the Monarchs with the exact same thing, 100%. I gotta figure out something, I think, with Lynx League, because at least with Carablu Cup, regardless of which position you finish, I would give a community rescue alluvial just for playing. Like from, say, 4th all the way to 8th, I'd still at least give you one alluvial as a thank you. Lynx League, I gotta find some sort of alternative for that makes sense. Because I'm not in a position where I can just throw a pack at everybody. But I also need something that can make an impact, and when you're in the Lynx League, you're either really close or you have a full collection for the most part. So I gotta think of something that could actually make an impact for Lynx League players. Alright, the lobby looks like it's all cooked up and good to go. Gat is here. Sprout Guard Enjoyer, I imagine, is Patch Tourist. We do have Awake Darkness, we've got Monster, Ethit is here, Illuvium Hunter, Zajac Wildfire, and Robert Tacho. Let's fire away with our second game of the day. As we load into this one, I do again want to give the call out to the fact that I'm going to be moving to 5 days of streaming every single week now. You'll be able to see the schedule here on my profile under the upcoming live streams. Monday's stream going into next week is trying to figure out how many ways can we use the Monarch or the Alluvial Monarch or the rest of the Poodle Moths, but not necessarily do Inferno Arcanite. How can we put Monarch into teams without it being the main one, if that makes sense? We're going to play around and see what we can get. It will be in ranked, so I mean, my rating is still on the line. I better think of something quick. But a little bit of theory crafting, thinking outside of the box with one of the coolest alluvials in the game. That's going to be Monday's stream. Tuesday, we are going to go over the biggest winners of the week in Illuvium Deathmatch. I personally might not necessarily be putting any of my own alluvials on the line for that Deathmatch segment, but we'll go through, take a look at the replays, see who's been winning some jackpots, maybe cast some live matches as well. Just hanging out and watching some Deathmatch games in active. Wednesday, of course, is going to be This Week in Illuvium, as the title suggests. Hopefully some good news coming on through. We've had a couple of rough weeks over the last little bit, looking to be able to turn that around. Thursday is going to be a bit of an open day, where I do have it labeled now as Try Hard Thursday, where I am going to essentially, well, playing as if it was a tournament, but it is still just going to be ranked mode. Then, of course, on Friday is going to be Illuvium Arena House League once again, but with the one-off special of ownership being turned off. So there is no levels, there is no stats. It is just strictly the Illuvials, the synergies you make, and your strategy and positioning. So it'll be a nice turnaround. As much as I love playing with my own Illuvials, seeing you all play with your own Illuvials, every once in a while I like throwing in a curveball to see what happens when some of our players of lesser collections have an even playing field up against some of our players that have top collections, and seeing what ends up kind of happening there. And that'll be for this week coming up. I'm looking forward to it very, very much so. It'll be busy, but it'll be fun. Looks like everybody loaded into the lobby A-OK, so we're going to load in just about now. Another funny thing that I did notice on my YouTube page, of course, when I started off the week, I had mentioned it was anniversary week. Well, YouTube gave me a post earlier today saying that this was my 1 year of the channel being active. So it's been 1 year of silent. That is kind of crazy. Come a long way in a year, come a long way in a year, and I look forward to more. Wolverine saying potentially Steam Invoker for a Monarch team. You might be speaking my language there, Wolverine. I'm not gonna lie. All right, game number 2 of the day. We've got a filled up lobby this time here for the Illuvium Arena House League's Lynx League. In this battle here today, we've got Zajac Wildfire. Is this going to be 3 podiums in a row? Let's see what you got, Zajac. We got Ethan coming up from the Carablu Cup. Might be an underdog, but we'll see what they can do. Could absolutely pull off the upset. We've got Monster coming on through as well. Got 1 win in the Lynx League already under their belt. Can we get another? Same thing here for Illuvium Hunter. Just got their 2nd win last week. Can we add on number 3? Sprout Guard Enjoyer is going to be Patch Tourist. I think they're still looking for their first. I'm not 100% sure. Definitely have to double check that. Then we have Gap3652, who was when Lynx League first came out with House League, got 2 wins in a row, then got rather busy and unfortunately couldn't get to the battlefield as often, and has been putting up some valiant efforts in regards to the House League, but has not found a breakthrough since returning. Could this be the day? We then have Awake Darkness 69 also coming on through here. One of those fringe players that, based off of collection score, was probably actually very, very close to Carablu, but now has been able to make a push, have been a mainstay here in the Lynx League. Some solid results, looking for a good one here for Awake Darkness. And then, of course, Robert Tacho coming on through from the Carablu Cup as well. See if they can make a dent here into some of our Lynx League players. Oh, it wouldn't be a stream if Sota didn't want to bet somebody. So who are your predictions for this lobby? Before I even go anything in regards to weapons or strategies or anything along those lines, let's keep it as, I guess, minimal info as possible. Make your, or place your bets, so to speak. Make your predictions now, because in a second we're going to be going over all the weapons and seeing where everybody is standing. Region this time is going to be Halcyon Sea. Everybody is rich. We're going to be getting 2 additional credits every single round. Now, without further ado, let's get into our weapons for today. Mothpuck or Monster are going to be picking up the Shadow Maul, looking for potential Granite or maybe Magma. We'll see. Illuvium Hunter, Lava Gauntlet in hand. That's your Fire Scion weapon. Sprout Guard Enjoyer, I mean, that was a Earth weapon. It was a, or it is a shield, but it is not the Sprout Guard. This is the Ember Bastion coming out here for Patch Tourist or Sprout Guard. For the sake of simplicity, I'll probably refer to them as Sprout Guard Enjoyer, since that's what I see on the screen. Zajac Wildfire, ready to be completely on brand. That is the Flame Warden staff coming on through. Potential Wildfire incoming. Ethit has the Earthgrass Scepter, playing some Earth Scion styles this time. Then we have 2 players with the Ember Buckler. That's going to be Gat alongside Robert Tacho picking that one up. Then Awake Darkness also has the Ember Bastion for, again, some Earth Bulwarks. So lots of Bulwarks coming on through here for today's matchup. So this says, I need to see the weapons beforehand. Okay, there you go. So what kind of play are you thinking now? At least off of the rip here, anytime I see somebody with a fire weapon, I think they're at least set up for success. And at the same time, though, there are no boomerangs in this battle, which would be considered probably the best weapon here for the fire players. The lava gauntlet, I believe, is a close second or third. You can argue the ember buckler could very well turn you into inferno behemoth still, so that is still an option. And then Zajac has the flame warden staff, but they're going for wildfire probably anyway, so they're completely content with that more than likely. They might fight you for the Arctace, but they're probably not going to go full heavy-handed into a Inferno build. We'll see. Based off the data here, Sota betting the top one's going to be either Zajac or Illuvium Hunter. So there we go. Zajac getting a first. That would be a first here in the Illuvium Arena House League. But then for Illuvium Hunter, that'd only be number 3 here for Illuvium Hunter. Taking a look at Awake Darkness and their squad, the Grand Atipo is here. Exalted Water Atipo making an appearance to help back up this heavy Empath and Aegis squad alongside this Virtuous Lynx. But Sproutguard Enjoyer is just on an absolute tear here currently with their squad. Aegis also online, but this one with the additional tankiness of a beautiful level 60 Axon. Very, very tough to deal with, as well as getting stunned up from that Kukulus over and over again. A tough spot to be in. Monster going to be leading the charge here in this game, and then this is a very interesting spot because we even had the discussion on Discord a little bit earlier today that if you look at Monster's collection score, they have a collection score that would rival that of a Monarch Masters player. Like, say, Wolverine, for example. They're pretty much on par with the same collection score as Wolverine. But the big difference here for Mothpuck, or for Monster, is that they have the lack of level 60s. They have 4 level 60s, but it's like a lesser Apon, a lesser Grilla, and it's a couple other of the tier 1 stage 1s. So it's not like there's an alluvial there that can truly snowball a game. And that's why, even though the collection score, for example, here for Monster looks really high, they are still here in Lynx League. This is one of those opportunities where I had to actually do like a manual override of sorts. Because Monster can start off really, really strong, but when we get into the late game, when some of these other late game alluvials come through, that's where they might slip a little bit. So right now, they're doing exactly what they need to do. Having a strong position currently in this game with no losses. But how long can they hold that? That is going to be the question for me going into this battle. Now, Robertacho, of course, coming in from the Carablu Cup, and this is a very sound strategy that you can do when you know that you are not going to be ahead of the game in regards to levels on your alluvials. You instead get ahead on levels on your ranger. Get more alluvials, swarm a little bit more, try to get the numbers advantage. It's not a guarantee that it'll work, but very well can every once in a while. The Gatling already finding a beautiful singe at level 6. The chances of that happening are super, super slim, and they're going to be able to capitalize onto that one, put the hurt here onto our dear Carablu here with Robertacho. Now Robertacho has to go up against Monster. That one, I imagine, is going to be a tough time, but let's take a look at Illuvium Hunter versus Sproutguard Enjoyer. So Blue Mage is currently on the menu here for Sproutguard. The Bloom not going to be into effect, at least as of yet. There is no either a Lallura or a Forus online just yet. Again, very early in the game here for a Forus to show up. That'd be kind of crazy. But it's also kind of early to see a Rampy show up, but screw it, we found it here anyway. We do have a nice little pickup here for Illuvium Hunter. That Rampy going to go directly towards that snail, potentially get a little bit of an Infernal Skyfall directly on top of it, as long as it doesn't get bursted down. The Inferno is going to be live, but it is not 6 fire-based Inferno, but the Arctace as well, doing some serious damage on the outskirts. You do also have Little Fury in the corner getting a bunch of damage on in here. So Sproutguard Enjoyer, they have a bunch of tanks for the front line, but they're getting assaulted on both fronts between the Rampy in the back line and the Fury up front alongside the Arctace. That is just a ton of damage to have to deal with. that could not be focused in onto the tank. So a nice play there for Illuvium Hunter, starting off strong here in this game here as well. Yeah, Illuvium Hunter looking really good as of right now. Corn Soda, I'd absolutely agree. But let's take a look at Zajac Wildfire as we go into ourselves an NPC round. Waiting on the big one, level or round 13 around the corner. Economy-wise, Awake Darkness really loading up on credits. Going to hit level 7 now. Get that Cling onto the field. They do have Aegis set up for their Ranger, but there is an Archos. Archos has arrived, so Aegis is going to be here. It's just a matter of what gets supercharged due to those Aegises, or those Aegis stats. Robertacho from there went towards the Harbinger side of things. I think it's a Flish picked up as of right now. We do see the Alfie coming on through for a little bit of AoE damage. We'll have to see if that can turn some fights around here. Ethid, of course, right there as well. Spending a little bit more than what we traditionally see Ethid do. We do also have composite chips coming on through this time by as we see Dust coming through for Ethid. So they're going to be essentially right at home. Similar build, but it's just with a different weapon, it looks like. One way to potentially do it there. That's going to be Dust Enchanter is coming on through. Just needs to get that Winx evolved, and it'll be 3 Dust. What else do we have? What is that? That's going to be a Harbinger imprint coming on through here for Robert Tacho. That is going to be an Aegis imprint for Awake Darkness. How about our battle here with Zajac and Sproutguard Enjoyer? What have they picked up for their chips? We do see a Granite chip here for Sproutguard Enjoyer that now makes it 3 Granite very early on into this game. I do not see the chip here for Zajac Wildfire, however. So that poor foe is going to get immediately dunked on. One melee carry going to be taken down, but as of this moment, the Fury's still doing a good job here for Zajac. Sproutguard Enjoyer, I mean, that Axon is an absolute menace in the front line. Level 60, these Aqua Bubbles are just popping and doing a ton of damage to the point where the Axon is basically a carry in its own right. But the biggest thorn in the side here is going to be Zajac's Fury. As soon as it deals with this Graco, actually, even the Rylu's doing a fantastic job here. If we take a look at the damage numbers, it's right up there matching the damage of the Fury. So nicely done there for Zajac Wildfire. The Fury alongside the Unlikely Hero with this tankier Rylu coming on through level 60 as well. So heck, the Rylu getting some time to shine. Does Zajac ever not play Wildfire? Rarely, I think. Very rarely if the weapon truly doesn't go their way. But true to their tag, it's Zajac Wildfire. Have to give a shout out here to Awake Darkness. Hello, beautiful. That is going to be an Arcana Virtuous Zephyr Lynx coming on through to really assist this Archos with this bunker-based composition. Now going up against Illuvium Hunter, who has taken the lead here into this game. And that's what I was kind of worried about here for Monster. Their early game, super powerful. But due to the Illuvials levels, once they get a little bit rarer, tends to fall off ever so slightly. We'll have to see if it continues throughout the rest of this match. But let's look at Awake Darkness. Where is the healing from the Arcane, or not the Arcane, but the Virtuous Zephyr Lynx with a lot of low health bars? You'd think that this is the spot that the Lynx would want to be in, but it's going to be absolute evaporation here for Awake Darkness. Let's take a look at the healing, and we can see him. This is actually something I've brought up to the developers, is that I do believe that the Stage 3 Virtuous Lynxes are having a very hard time. I don't want to call them useless, because they're not. But a unit that is supposed to be a lifesaver unit. Basically, of course, the way that it does its healing is based off of missing health. For something to be healing for like 2% of their missing health every second or whatnot, you don't feel much of an effect at all with the Virtuous Lynxes, the Stage 3 variants. And I get why. If they're too powerful, then the game turns into a corner comp meta whenever they're here, and that's always boring to watch. I get that. But yeah, they feel like they're missing out a little bit. But let's see how it goes this time by. We've got Awake Darkness and Robert Tacho. One of them are getting eliminated right here, right now. Blazon Knight online here for Awake Darkness. Nice little pickup. But so is the Sinolf loaded up with Omega Power. Here comes the shot right through to the Blazon Knight. But here comes the Tornado. The Twist Wing, once it hits, is going to interrupt that right in its tracks and potentially give the Lynx, give the Archos some time to actually heal some of their teammates. This one looking pretty good here for Wake Darkness. Another shot coming out from the Sinolf, but there is no more tank line. And Robertacho, a valiant effort, was definitely the underdog, but will be the first to fall here. Get one of our Carablu Cup players punching above their weight class, but a valiant effort, of course. GG's nonetheless, Robertacho, and thank you again for playing. Looking forward to sending you some Illuvials later on as a part of the prizing from Carablu Cup. And as always, thank you for playing. I hope you had fun. They went from overpowered to trash. Because, yeah, there was a point. It's been months at this point here. But I know when Illuvium Pro League was actually a thing. Where the stage, where it wasn't even the stage 3s. It was, you can do it with 2 stage 2 virtuous lynxes. And it would be impossible to break through. That was stupid. I agree that's stupid. But the fully evolved ones are paying the price as of this moment. And let's see if maybe Awake Darkness can keep themselves alive here. Zajac Wildfire does not have Wildfire online, but they've got 6 fire, allowing them to absolutely burn a hole through the front line, getting to the squishy bits on the inside, and that's going to mean we lose Awake Darkness here in round 16. GG's Awake Darkness. I hope no matter what you had fun nonetheless. Always a pleasure seeing you on the battlefield. How about our other Carablu here? Ethan going up against Gat. And it looks like Gat seems to have the stranglehold here. A little bit of an Alfie blast coming on through to help seal the deal here for Ethan. Or seal the deal here for Gat and knocking Ethan down to 6th. We have an NPC round to stop the bleeding ever so slightly. And we get to see who's been spending as we get an influx of credits coming on through in just a couple moments' time. And Ethan with the dust style, I mean, it's very abrasive. It's able to be like very disruptive, but for the teams that can deal with it, they seem to be dealing with it relatively decently. Sprout Guard Enjoyer, we haven't given them much of a shout out here in this later stage, but this has turned into a Harbinger-based Scion team, where we are seeing a Sinolf and an Octius coming on through. So this is already 2 more Octiuses, 2 more squids than I think I've seen in the entirety of like the rest of House League. Normally, the entire squid line just gets ignored, but we're seeing 2 players actually go for it with a little bit of contesting, and that normally doesn't happen. Gatling in a pretty good spot, at least in terms of credits. 73 still in the bank. Zajac Wildfire right down the middle. They could have Wildfire potentially, but they've got Inferno Arcanite actually going through the other way, but just locking in with the Railu. Does have the Furiox available, maybe looking for Blazonite now that Awake Darkness is out of here. Illuvium Hunter with the more traditional Inferno Arcanite kind of style through or no, this isn't even Inferno Arcanite. This is Inferno Harbinger actually set up here for Illuvium Hunter. And then Monster back on top with a dust-based build. Looks like Revenant's coming on through. Well, let's see if Ethan can hang on. They are definitely the underdog in this instance, but we've got the dust. We've got the disruption for dust even coming on through. But again, with the air, yes, you might be able to dodge, but if you're going up against fire and you don't happen to dodge, then that damage is super effective. So unfortunately here for Ethan, they will fall out of here. A valiant effort, punching above your weight class, again, from the Carablu Cup. GG's, I hope you had fun no matter what. It would be fun if they let a community member do the balancing. It would be fun if they just did balancing, period. But I completely agree. It would be really cool to see a community member maybe have a little bit of a hold on to the balancing side of things. Let them change some things up, especially when there's no big tournaments going around right now. It's all community-based stuff. Maybe let people who are consistently in the community running semi-competitive events can maybe help with the balancing, so to speak. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Would be very, very cool. But now Illuvium Hunter, we've got an Umber online. Okay. Nice little Umber coming on through here with this squad. I was assuming that this was going to be a heavy focus on fire, but it actually did not end up being the case. Illuvium Hunter spent basically everything in the bank. Oh, never mind. This is Gat I'm looking at. I was looking at this the wrong way around. Illuvium Hunter's definitely got the Inferno Arcanite style going on through. Or Inferno Harbinger style coming on through, rather. It's Gat that's got this the Singe, but the Umber And how does that Umber do here in this battle? It's loaded up with augments, and it is going to be getting ramped up ever so slightly with these steam buffs. It is being focused, but of course the Arcanite style from that Furiox cannot target it while it has dodge. So beautifully done there for Gatling, keeping themselves in the fight with this Umber, turning this into a steam team. Sota says, let me do the balancing, guys. I won't buff rogues too hard. Why don't I trust you? No, I'm just kidding. That'd be funny. Now, basically, everybody has spent everything in the bank here. Lots of players in the single digits. Gatling down to 22 health as well. Sproutguard down to 23. I'm going to ride along here with Sproutguard as they go up against Monster, who did take the lead once again here in this game. 65 health still to their name. They've turned this into 4 Dust, but they've also turned this into Revenant, oddly enough. So this Ranger, even though it has that Empath Shield, or that Empath Maul, it's going to be diving on through, assisting with the Disruption and the Blinding, alongside this beautiful Vermiliere. Able to get into a good spot, potentially launch that Squall into a group of Scions. I mean, that'd be a best case scenario. But so far, the squad here for Sproutguard has been able to hold the line rather nicely. Let's get these damage charts out here. This is Dust versus the corner comp. Right now, the Vermiliere, it's doing a pretty decent chunk of damage. It's leading the charge here on the red side. But here comes one more Squall, but it's only going into tanks and supports. The Octius, the Fury, and the Tianti have not been touched so far in this battle, and this Goliath has just been sitting there, just menacingly absorbing everything from the backline. I mean, Sproutguard and Joyer are going to be able to take this one now, especially that the overtime pulses have come on through. Sproutguard and Joyer are going to get a win, Gatling going to get a win, but now they have to play each other, and this is kind of scary. A bad enough loss either way could send one of them packing right here, right now, outside the top half. A very scary spot for both players, and honestly, a very scary lobby. This is a very close lobby. Nobody truly feels like they're in control, and that is really cool. The fact that no one's running away with the lobby, the leader currently has 58 health. Like, this is still anybody's game. But we have 2 of our players that have been snowballing for the last little bit. Win after win. The Scions here for Sproutguard, but then this Umber coming on through. Here for Gatling. Shots fired from the Sinolf going directly into the Kookaloo. It's going to bring it very, very low. And now that the Umbers had the opportunity to get a Wraith Strike off, that's where things get nasty. Takes care of the Kookaloos. Does not matter if you're being tanked in the front line. That Wraith Strike does not care. 3 closest Illuvials all getting hit with every single cast. And a dominating win, it looks like, here for Gatling. Is that going to be enough to take care of Sproutguard in this one? The Mammoth is going to try and stop the bleeding. Maybe get 1 HP in a dream. Now here for Sproutguard. Took just enough Illuvials out of here. Keep themselves in a game. What an upgrade for Illuvium Hunter. First and foremost, just took a peek right here at this beautiful Rampfire coming out to play. Then right around the corner as well, just on the other side, the Scoriox with the Inferno chip. It's ready to rock. It's 4 Inferno. We never see 4 Inferno due to the difficulty of actually hitting 4 Illuvial, or you hardly ever see 3 Inferno, to be completely honest with you. But to see 4 like this is absolutely incredible. As we get into our closing stages for this matchup, as we get into the closing stages of this matchup, we do, of course, have to give the shout out to our Monarch Masters. Yous are coming up right after this match. I see my Australians are just waking up. Good to see ya. Draknien, After Work Gaming, good to see ya. Red Fox Amarate, good to see you here as well. I hope you're both having fantastic mornings and you've gotten your coffee in ya. Because it better be warm too, because the action is going to be heating up here in just a moment's time. I'm going to keep an eye on this Rampfire in particular. Maybe going to even move the angle a little bit. Can I get a better shot at where that Rampfire is? There we go. It's all onto this Infernal Skyfall. It's got the double breach impulse reactors. The shields are going to make it so this Rampfire hits harder. It dodges the Goliath shot as well. A very close battle between these two players, but Illuvium Hunter, it looks like they're barely going to be able to hang on and get the win there that time by. And we do lose Monster. I did not expect that. They're going to end up falling, but Sproutguard going up against Zajac Wildfire. It looks like Sproutguard has control. The fully evolved Mammoth with a Granite Ship is going to be able to hold the line beautifully. Now, no matter what, somebody's coming home. Sproutguard, or Patch Tourist, however you want to call it, looking for a podium here. And then Gatling, I think it's been a long time since we've gotten them into the Lynx League podium. Again, I had mentioned it a little bit earlier that when Lynx League first started out, when House League first started out, Gatling was always up at the top. Heck, they won 2 of the first Lynx Leagues. But since then, they've been quiet. It would be a long time coming if they could score a podium here. And it's relying in the paws of this Umber alongside this Jotun here as well. That is going to be Steam Vanguard. I'm looking to see where this Ranger goes. It's got quite the opening, actually, but it will be exposing itself directly next to the Mammoth. The Mammoth's too focused on the tanks, actually, so the Wraith Strikes coming on out here from this Umber are going to be essentially completely uncontested. I do not think the Ranger can actually stop it. They can mitigate damage, but the Wraith Strike does not give a damn about your tankiness. It's just going to go around you, and that Octius is going to be very, very scared. It does end up going down. No more resets. The Umber in a very beautiful spot going up against this tanky Ranger, but it has the backup of the dual left here as well. Big upgrade, but the shunts coming out here from the Mammoth. The Mammoth is the only thing that can potentially stop this Umber from going crazy. Shunts on through directly into the entire team, but it does not matter. Gatling is going to end up taking this win. We lose Sproutguard. We barely are going to lose Zajac Wildfire, but it's just enough to score them their 3rd podium in a row. Congratulations there to Zajac for getting that. But also, we have for the first time in a long time, Gatling has made it on in to the podium, made it into the rewards. Can they potentially do the 1 HP in a dream comeback and take down Illuvium Hunter? Because this is still a very scary squad from Illuvium Hunter. If it's a loss for Gat, that is it. And then Illuvium Hunter would be able to get the win this time by Umber. Pretty safe to go contest up against that Monarch alongside the Scoriox as well. These Wraith Strikes are hitting essentially where it needs to, but it's very, very low. Such big time damage coming out here from Illuvium Hunter. And for the 2nd week in a row, it is going to be Illuvium Hunter with the Lynx League victory here in the Illuvium Arena House League. Congratulations, Illuvium Hunter. But then again, congratulations to Gat as well, getting back onto the podium after such a long time. GG's, everybody. Awake Darkness, good to see you once again. I hope, again, you had fun in whether it be watching or playing. Always a pleasure having you on. Yeah, GG's, everybody. Illuvium Hunter with the Inferno for Inferno. We hardly ever see that. Even getting additional Phantom with that last minute evolution onto the Monarch 2. Nice little change up there. Gatling, it was Steam Vanguard, but you had natural behemoths thanks to the Seer and the Jotun coming on through here as well. Interesting and awesome team. Good to see you get up there, Gat. Zajac Wildfire, I'm sad that we didn't get to necessarily see the ends there for you, but for the 3rd week in a row, that is going to be Zajac Wildfire onto the podium. Congratulations. Pastures, a Sproutguard enjoyer, a valiant efforts with these Scions. We don't usually see the Scions get much action, but still going to be able to get a solid 4th place finish there. Monster had the early game and was on a bit of a roll. I like the pivot towards the Revenant style, but unfortunately just ran out of gas in the end. Going to fall in 5th. One of our Carablus here, Eth, it's of course the winner from today's Carablu Cup. A valiant effort, but was definitely punching above their weight class. Going to fall into 6th. Awake Darkness going to fall in 7th. The Lynx tried its damnedest to keep everybody topped off, but just could not quite get the job done. A valiant effort nonetheless, though. And then Robert Tacho, of course, one of our Carablus as well, went for a Scion-based team as well. which oddly enough got contested by Sprout Guard, which normally does not happen, and that will make them fall on last. But still, GG's nonetheless, regardless of where you finished. I hope you had fun here today. Okie, let's hop on over, get that all documented, of course. Whew. Hope everybody's having a fantastic time so far. Week after week, no matter what, we're here. Again, main goal. Get everybody to improve their collections and also have a fun time just as a community gathering. Very rarely, especially nowadays, do we actually get a lobby of like 7 or 8 people. Definitely a lot of the excitement around Illuvium Arena has kind of faltered. It's a lot of times a lot of us regulars just continuing to play just because we love the game. We do have a handful of new players coming on through, which is still awesome to see. But I know it's rather quiet. So being able to get these awesome, like, 8-player lobbies and get to see the game when it's at its best, which is when it's a close match with full lobbies. That's what we're all about, while also leveling up your collection and growing your collection. So again, Illuvium Hunter with the win, and again, Illuvium Hunter, you're more than welcome to try and punch up into the Monarch Masters as well, so don't go anywhere. Gladly have you on board again here. Wild fight. There we go, wildfire. Let's do it that way. And then Gat. There we go. Yeah, I think it's been a little bit for Gat, right? When was the last time I've had them on here? That was Gatling's first podium since April. Good on you there, Gat. Welcome back to the podium. All right, Monarch Masters, let's get you situated. All right, a reminder for our Monarch Masters, our lineup here today. First off, coming on through from the Lynx League will be Illuvium Hunter. Then Dr. Spoon, going to be labeled as PSOP, but I believe this is Dr. Spoon competing here today. Then we've got Sota, Squawk, Hector, Drac, Nyen, Wolverine 777, and then Thanatos. Posting the code in the Discord right now. There, shall be sent. All right, there we go. And Dr. Spoon confirms, yes, it'll be Doc. It'll be Doc today. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, that works out, because I don't mind if somebody else, like, it's not like we're playing for, like, a multi-$1,000 tournaments where I'm worried about account sharing. When we're just doing community hangouts like this, if you have a substitute of some sort that's playing your player your team, that'll never bother me. I just like to know, for the sake of historical records, when I see players with, like, say how we were talking about with Robert Tacho being the most winningest Carablu Cup player, I would give that substitute their own spot, so to speak. Like, I wouldn't call someone subbing in for Dr. Spoon, for example. I wouldn't label that as Dr. Spoon's. I'll always credit the win to the trainer or to the ranger, not the team, if that makes sense. Plus, I really don't have the bandwidth to inspect everybody's team, everybody's alluvials, if I were to somehow base the record off of the team. That'd be very tough. And then, of course, with this Monarch Masters matchup, I also want to give the shout out to Nocacho. They are here in the waitlist. If they do have the opportunity, they could sneak on in. We'll see, because right now we do have Dr. Spoon, or PSOP. We do have Hector from Mad Dogs. We've got Illuvium Hunter. We've got Wolverine 777 hype. We've got Draknyen. We've got Sota hype. So we are missing Squawk and Thanatos as of right now. We'll give them a couple moments here to hop into the lobby, and then I'll start calling for substitutions. Spoon is an easy win. For you, maybe. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Sure. Okay, gave the shout out to Nocacho. See if they can hop on in here. Still missing Thanatos and Squawk. Although there is one thing I could actually check. Are they in a game right now? If they are, it just finished. Drak playing different builds. Of course, I may have saw it a little bit on stream earlier. Of course, Drak been playing a Aegis style build, but it's a corner comp that usually focuses around the Scoriox. And I've been using it a lot. I'm not going to lie. I've been using it a handful of times on the ranked ladder, except here's the thing. If this is the Draknyen build when it's Aegis around Scoriox, the only thing I do differently is I sub one of the Illuvials out for a Lynx. That way it's the Draknyen build. And it's me. I always use Lynxes, essentially no matter what. Sometimes you do stub out the forest for Lynx. Okay, yeah, there we go. Awesome. Perfect. I mean, the Grocko's the GOAT. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. Okay, so I sent the final. You close to Thanatos and to Squawk. We do have two players potentially on deck. Nocacho first, but then Zyfed also just reached out in the Discord to potentially hop in through the waitlist. Squawk and Thanatos, any luck? Don't see any other games as of this moment, so what I will reach out, because I didn't get to read or the call out here for no cat show either. Brady also mentioned that they're free. That works out as well. One way or another, we'll fill this lobby up. Okay, no Cacho is there. Let's get them the code. And Zyfit is here as well. Okay, so we loaded it up. Uh-oh, I don't have tournament deck on. Uh-oh. Can that be done within 2 minutes, or are you going to be needing a few? So I may have to ask you to, unfortunately, hop out if it's going to take a while. Yeah, if he doesn't have the tournament deck on and he's got currently a team that is in progress of leveling, I would have Zyfed hop out here, because if Bondaddy Ratty is also available, I'd want someone a little bit closer in terms of scores. Oh, he could fix it. Okay. Okay, Zyfet's fixing it up right now, so we'll be getting into it in just a moment's time. The beer build? Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've known players before that would swear by having a drink of some sort prior to a big tournament because it relaxes them. But as somebody who was their coach and manager, at the same time, I was very, very skeptical, because I feel like that was just them wanting to drink. Now, coffee coming, I get that. Especially if you're just waking up. I mean, if I'm a part of that world championship and I'm competing against you, yes, do so. Give me a better chance. No. Now, of course, as always, take care of yourself. All right, one more minute here for Zyfet just to get the final touches here onto the squad, and then we'll go live here. You've heard this kind of stuff happens before big esports tournaments. At least when I mean, I was in the college esports scene. That's where my main thing was, where it was university versus university, or college versus university, that kind of thing. There were a handful of teams that I knew would partake in certain activities, except it wasn't drinking. It was a little bit of Blaze ILV, if you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. Or a potential chess world champion did an all-nighter. He got wrecked. Yeah, no kidding. There's a difference between getting yourself relaxed and then being reckless. That's definitely a little rough. Alright, without further ado, Cyphet says he's close enough, so we'll fire away here right now. Good luck, have fun, everybody. Let's make this one to remember. I shouldn't put the code in just yet. I gotta let the game load. While I'm here, I might as well fix this here as well. So no Cacho is in. Thanatos was one of them that couldn't make it. And then Zyphet made it. Alright, there we go, that's better. Alright, loading into our final game of the day. Of course, the Monarch Masters main event coming on through in just a moment's time. And of course, do want to thank everybody, of course, for all of your support here for Illuvium Arena House League, for myself, what have you, and all of the streams over this last year. YouTube just gave me the shoutouts and posts on my page that today is the 1-year anniversary of the Silent Channel, and Illuvium as a whole, this community, has allowed me to kind of branch out into my niche, into my comfort zone. And while we're not huge, that's okay. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. Did I think I'd be a little bit further after 1 year? Sure, but one thing I am is happier, and that is all thanks to Illuvium, all thanks to you guys, and we're gonna keep doing this as long as I'm having fun, as long as I'm enjoying myself here doing Illuvium streams. Well, we're gonna keep on going, which of course, starting next week, we're gonna be doing 5 days a week worth of streams, but of course, trying to figure out how to use Monarch outside of an Inferno Arcanite team. Tuesday, we're going to be doing Illuvium Deathmatch, looking at the jackpots, maybe casting some live matches. Looking forward to seeing Deathmatch for the first time since its release. We got news on Wednesday, hopefully some good news coming on through after a couple of rough weeks, especially around the auto drone. Try Hard Thursday, time to push into the top 20, or at least try to. It's within range, but it's going to be tough. And then, of course, Illuvium Arena House League next week, ownership turned off. So anybody can have the same playing field as anybody. There's no divisions. It's just strictly strategy. We'll make a mini mock tournament of sorts. Maybe like we did before, where there'd be 2 lobbies, top 4 move into a final kind of thing. And everybody who makes that final lobby will end up getting some sort of prizes. And it'll be a lot of fun. Look for my Discord post and X post. That's exactly how that will be dealt with for this week coming up. Alright, enough of the smoke. Let's start watching y'all giving each other the smoke here in just a moment's time. Monarch Masters, the main event of the evening. Three, 2, 1, here we go, right in time for weapons. But like I was saying before, this is the Monarch Masters main event here for Illuvium Arena House League. The top collections, top players in an incredible battle for the ages. 8 players all here looking to score some Illuvials, whether it be for a team upgrade potentially, or If it ends up being deathmatch fodder, it is what it is. Once you have your Illuvials, it's up to you what you do with them. I'm not going to force you to use them any way, or of anything like that. So our players here today, let's take a look. Starting from the top, we've got Sota Hype. Another Hype Squad member right behind them as well, Wolverine 777 Hype. We then have Hector from Mad Dogs. We have Zyfet. We have Drak Nyen, also known as After Work Gaming. I almost did it again. After Work Gaming on YouTube. PSOP is Dr. Spoon. We've got No Cacho, and then after the victory in the Lynx League, trying to punch above their weight class and show us what they got, it's going to be Illuvium Hunter. Region for today is going to be Crystal Shores, and this is the one where you want to load that bench up, getting one free reroll every single time you evolve an Illuvial, or you fuse an Illuvial. Let's go over the weapons here in just a second. All right, here we go. Weapons for today's matchup. I was going to say, there's no chance that we're going through an entire house league without seeing somebody use a boomerang, right? Well, Dr. Spoon going to be pulling it out right here alongside those two Lynxes, all set up with arguably one of the best weapons in the game. But we do see two of these Sprout Guards. We had seen Patch Tours make a comment about these damn Sprout Guards, but the amount of shielding you get from this thing is absolutely ridiculous, and we're going to see Zyfet and Wolverine pick this one up. Drak Nyen going to be picking up the Arrow Edge. That's not a Aegis or a Grass or Fire weapon, so we'll see. Maybe this is an alternative team coming out here from Drak. Sota picking up the Elderwood Staff for some potential Verdant Mystic, maybe. Toxic Aegis, potentially. There's a few ways you can go with this. Hector from Mad Dogs. Hector plays a lot of Rogue, but that is a Ripple Flail coming on through. But I'm still seeing a lot of Rogues on the bench, so this could very well transition into some sort of Vanguard play. No Cacho does have the Ember Bastion, looking for maybe some Behemoth, maybe some sort of Harbinger, maybe some sort of Aegis. We do see the Crunk already picked up for No Cacho after some very heavy early game spending. Zyfet, again, also picking up the Sprout Guard as well. And then Illuvium Hunter also has a rogue weapon, or has a rogue weapon, actually. Could potentially put the hurt here onto Hector if those two are going to be contesting each other, because we already see the Lura coming on through alongside the Tiruro, Grilla, Choral. Lots of rogues already on board here for Illuvium Hunter. Let's take a look currently at Drak versus Zyfet. Let's see what Drak is doing. Of course, this is a different style build. It's still Behemoth, but it's labeled up as Dust as of right now, alongside this awesome little Revo coming on through level 60. Meanwhile, for Zyfet, all the augments placed onto this perfect Railu, coming on through with all the augments, all the damage, percent damage as well, but it's being swarmed by the Lynxes of Drak, and that is going to take care of that Railu. So it's just a matter of dealing with the disruption from Zyfet, and I think Drak will be able to take care of this. As soon as that Lynx stops getting charmed, it'll be able to deal the damage necessary. Heck, even the Revo getting involved onto that one. The Lynx is leading the charge massively. Oddly enough, it was the Lynx that did not have the augments leading in terms of damage. Gonna take a look at, let's see, PSOP going up against Illuvium Hunter. Illuvium Hunter picking up a handful of those rogues like I was saying before. Then for the side of Dr. Spoon, the trusty Lynxes are here and ready to wreak havoc. Both above 60. This one actually level 62 has that Echoing Force Reactor to get additional damage every single time it gets a part of a takedown. Doesn't have to land the killing blow, but it just has to have an assist. Has that overflowing impact reactor as well, so as it drops below 50, we'll see the shield come on through. Never mind, it just got bursted extremely badly. Big damage coming out here from Illuvium Hunter, actually. The early game rogues absolutely capitalizing here for Illuvium Hunter. How about Zyfet? What are you up to up against Hector, who's also potentially going for some sort of rogue play? It looks like it's going to be the Tiruro coming on through here from Hector. Essentially a perfect one. Level 60, only missing move speed. Here, let's take a look at this battle as well here. So Illuvium Hunter versus Zyfet. Zyfet, again, went for the Sprout Guard. It's set up as Harbinger with Bloom, but the Bloom won't be able to actually flourish as of yet. But meanwhile, on the other side, 7 rogues already unlocked here for Illuvium Hunter. They do even have Revenant online too, thanks to the additional Tiruro synergy coming on through. Lots of eyes onto that Railu in the middle. Again, it's basically the carry for the time being. It doesn't have burst damage, it just has consistent damage. That Omega really doesn't help it that much, so it is going to end up falling. The heal from that Railu, unfortunately, rather negligible. It's not going to be able to sustain through the rogue damage. And even with Rampy coming into play here for Illuvium Hunter, that's actually kind of crazy. A very early Rampy, all things considered, level 6, so that was like a 2% chance to hit that. It comes through rather nicely. Now let's see what Hector's doing as they go up against Sota. Sota, of course, does have that Elderwood staff in hand. Potentially Bloom Aegis coming on through to start things off, since that Archos is sitting front and center, or was at least front and center. But now we see the Fury, hollowed out Fury of that, ready to potentially utilize some of these buffs. But where are these Aegis units actually going to be being placed? It looks like as of this moment it is going to be the Fury, but there are a couple of other connecting Illuvials, but I think the Fury is going to get all of the buffs. I know that's one of the features that I personally would love to see added. If there was some sort of highlight, some sort of glow to show exactly which Illuvials were getting the Aegis buff, whether it be playing against it or whether it be playing with it, it would be very, very helpful if that was potentially just a small little quality of life feature. Because I'd love to see, like, know for sure if that Fury got all the buffs, or did the T-Anti get it? Did the Grocko get it? How or who got the buffs in that regard? Oh, we have an NPC round. Let's take a look. Hector had a rough one there versus Sota that time, but let's see if maybe this could be the push into level 7 that they're looking for. They've been spending moderately because, of course, with there being another player going for Rogue, if you play too passively, you're going to get run over. And Illuvium Hunter has been doing a pretty decent job finding an occasional win here and there, even though their Illuvials might be a little bit weaker on average here in this lobby. They're able to hold their own quite nicely and not get beat on time and time again here. Wolverine, Drac, Sota, all above 70. Sitting rather pretty in that regard. No Cacho as well, looking pretty good. They currently have Granite online. Not going to have Harbinger just yet, but here, in fact, we got no Cacho right now. Let's keep an eye on them in this battle. Drac actually loaded up a Kuka Raft, so that thing's all evolved, ready to go. Like, what are they trying to go for? We got Berserker, the attempt actually coming out here from Drag. As long as that's still a Riptorus, though, everybody's going to be okay. But with there being no other Scorpions actually in play right now, the chances for Drac to actually hit a Rip Lance is very good, actually. Then in regards to our battle with our two players right here, right now, Hector did land the Penguin, so the Stabbin has been evolved into. Vanguard is now here. In fact, this is Steam Vanguard with this Rake coming in to assist the big damage coming out from that Stabbin. Let's get a better angle here onto this one. The Rogue's just going to completely chew through the defenses of No Cacho like it's nobody's business. Big win here for Hector. Massive damage. But how about with Zyphet? What are they cooking up against Wolverine? A very close battle, actually, but Zyphet is going to get the win onto Wolverine. Still lots of focus onto that Railu. Did a great job. Also had that Bulwark chip getting it even tankier. But let's take a look at Wolverine 777 hype. I don't think we've necessarily had the opportunity to really focus on them too much here. Forest has now been evolved into. This is still a dust build coming out here from Wolverine, but it's actually Enchanter now that the Kukulus has been evolved into. And this is still a Quinks, but if it potentially evolves into a Gazatep, that is another Enchanter going to be along for the ride. Goliant online here for Wolverine as well at level 7, relatively early. It's like a 12% chance to actually find tier 5s when you're level 7, so a nice pickup here. And we're going to get the switch up. It's no longer dust, it's going to be granite. So both the Ranger and the Goliant are going to do their damnedest to try and tank on through. The Rogues and the Forest going to try and jump onto the tank line. Can those ghosting screams from that forest potentially get into the back line? It's going essentially right through the tanks as of this moment, which the Adorito is completely content with. These are some tanky bodies in front of it, with the Archos also topping it off. The Verdant's now being procced, that Verdant puddle now directly between all of the tanks, going to allow for Sota's Furiox to just open fire onto each of the tank line. Wolverine able to hold the line for a pretty decent amount of time. These Goliaths still hanging in there, but just the entire team of Sota is still here, still doing big damage. It's just a matter of time for Wolverine, unfortunately, ends up falling here. Big win for Sota. This is going to bring Wolverine all the way down to 45 HP. Zyphet in a little bit of hurt here as well. 37 credit, or not credits, 37 health to their name. Basically 2 more lives. We do have Inferno Behemoth is the setup. So 6 fire with Inferno, that part's fine, but there is no additional synergy there for the Ranger, at least as of this moment. And now they have to go up against Sota, who has been in a very, very dominant position since the start of this game. Riley going to come in as potentially a clutch factor, but again, it's consistent damage, it's not burst. There isn't going to be any shock to potentially mess with the Furiox in the back line, so Zyphet trying to just front the back this. As of right now, the Singe, it's barely going to stay alive. Adorito with a big heal, and again, a dominating victory here for Sota, and this is going to be rough for Zyphet. That poor little Fury is going to get taken down. Zyphet down to 20 HP. Wolverine still in battle, it looks like, going up against Drac, and it is going to be Drac, it looks like, coming on through to be able to absolutely tear a hole through the squad. So a couple players having a little bit of a harder time here, and now it's Zyphet's turn, and in fact, it could very well be match-threatening here for Zyphet if things don't go their way. But let's take a look at this team that Drac has ended up drafting here. Because look at this, Kyridelox leading the charge, level 54, solid tank in the front. But we do see this Gyro as well, level 55, essentially perfect, considering that is a ranged attacker and is rolling around all over the place anyway. So this is 5 air, dust, and frost, and toxic all coming on through here from Drac. Meanwhile, 6 fire and Inferno has the firepower as long as they could hit these Illuvials. I don't think there's any true sight here for the side of Zyphet, but it's not going to matter. They're able to land their shots, which is going to allow for, again, some super effective synergies coming on through here. Drac going to take a major hit. Big win here for Zyphet to stop the bleeding. Illuvium Hunter falling down a little bit after being taken down by Wolverine. No Cacho, then also going up against Sota. How's that going to go? Looks like it's Sota going to continue to be in the driver's seat of this lobby. And a PC round as we start getting into the ending stages of our battles. So I also want to give a reminder to everybody for next week's Illuvium Arena House League that it will be ownership off. It's not always going to be that way. I like throwing this in as a one-off every once in a while. And it's been, I think, since week 6 since we did a casual ownership off style Illuvium Arena House League. So it's going to return for next week. Again, for those that may not know, that basically means that your levels and the TPI, the stats, do not matter. Everybody's Illuvials are the exact same strength. So it's just strictly based off of your timing, strategy, and positioning on the field that determines whether you actually win or lose. Don't have to worry about being out-leveled, so everybody is playing on the same playing field. That'll be next week for House League. No catch-out potentially on death's door here of 17 HP left to go. Illuvium Hunter short to follow. Illuvium Hunter spends everything in the tank. Good little upgrade here for no catch-out. The Furiox has arrived, just missing some HP onto that thing. But in terms of damage, it's there. Goliath online, just missing some movement speed. That is a beautiful, essentially perfect Goliath that now makes for 3 Granite. A couple of additional evolutions coming on through. Level 9 here onto Sota, level 8 onto Zyphet. Zyphet not in a great spot either with 20 HP left to go. Let's go for our first battle here with our Wolverine versus no Catcho. No Catcho in the green side of things, but it's all going to be looking at that forest in the middle. It's got a great lineup for a Ghosting Scream that's going to be actually tagging the Furiox in the back line. And now this could be very troublesome. This is where things start to snowball and get scary. No Cacho, the Goliath's going to hold the line, but the Furiox is already so hurt. It's not going to be able to pull through. We will lose No Cacho. We will lose Illuvium Hunter as well. GG's, everybody. I hope regardless of where you finished, you had a good time. Always a pleasure seeing you on the battlefield. We are right around the corner for potentially some more eliminations here as well. Hector down to 21. Zyphet down to 20. Big upgrade for Draknyen. That is going to be Riplance online. The big Scorpion is here. So the Toxic Duo completely fully evolved. Very pretty. Looking forward to seeing it in action in a little bit. But there could potentially be eliminations here. So I want to give that the attention it deserves. Let's go hop in with Hector. It's been a bit since we've seen Hector in action. And they're going up against Sota, who's got a massive upgrade in the form of this Gnarl to hold the front line. That Twine was already problematic, but now 6 Nature Verdant alongside something that has so much health like a Gnarl. You can see these rogues are trying their damnedest. Heck, even the Yamber is trying his damnedest to get into that back line. It gets into the squishy bits, but it's way too late, unfortunately. It will end up falling. Sota going to take the win. Hector going to get a perfect goose egg, unfortunately, here. Going to get knocked out by Sota. GG's, Hector. Hope you had fun no matter what, no matter where you finished. Valiant effort no matter what. Zyphet and Wolverine still going at it. Looks like Wolverine took the hit that time by. Zyphet hanging on. Podium within range, but now up against Drak. Drak did successfully get the Gazatep evolved into, so that is a natural enchanter coming into play alongside the Berserker of this Riplance. So this turns into Dust, Frost, Toxic, Berserker, Enchanter. That is a lot of synergies. Are they all in onto one? Absolutely not, but you got a little bit of everything here going up against Zyphet, who again, 6 Fire Inferno, the classic Templar online, and not to mention, of course, the fact that this Riley is here, fully evolved, ready to rock and support those units. We'll take a look at the damage charts into this one. That Riplance doing a fantastic job up in the upper right-hand side, but the ramp fight doing pretty good into the corner, but there is still the numbers advantage for the red side for the time being, but the Riplance is still rather healthy. It's got the support of this Kukuraf, who's going to stun lock that ramp fight into place, and then that Sting going to come on through. Big win here for Drak. Zyphet down to 4. Wolverine on death's door, potentially going up against Sota, who's basically not lost a round since the start of this game. Boris trying to get some of those ghosting screams into the back line, but it's been going into nothing but tank line, which is actually a good sign here for Sota. Sota does finally lose their match, but what about this ghost battle with the overtime pulses going on through? The charms coming on through here from the Quinks in the back line, making it really messy for that Furiox as the pulse is just constantly coming on through. Adorito going to heal. Wolverine is going to hang on, I think, just barely. Get the win over Sota. So Sota looking mortal now. The full bulwark for Empath with Aegis, 6 nature, lots of healing. Heck, even the Grocko sticking around. An exalted Grocko at that. Couple of final moves here for Sota to get the team into position going up against Zyphet. I think this will be a longer battle, so I'm actually going to quickly hop on over to Drak, who's... Oh, wait, they're both going up against the exact same player, it looks like. So actually, no, let's go back over to Sota versus Zyphet. Zyphet's squad is a little bit squishier. I do see this one potentially ending one way or another. First, the first shot from that ramp fight is going to be a bit of an air ball. It only went into the Goliath, but they at least do chew through the... Not the front line, but like the sideline, the backup guards, so to speak. And they do manage to get through that Gnarl. This is actually pretty good as long as that Furiox can get involved. But the front line for Zyphet does end up falling, which means we will lose both Draknyen and Zyphet. Drak gonna fall in 4th, Zyphet in 5th. GG's, everybody. And Drak, I love the different style. Just unfortunately, didn't make the podium this time by, but a valiant effort as always, which means we are down to our top 3 Sota right back on top in the lead, but their team does look mortal. They are not just completely standing there and just absorbing everything and out healing everything. There is enough damage from people now to actually stop it. PSOP, of course, Dr. Spoon coming on through as well. Lots of emphasis here onto the Furiox to truly dish out that damage, but they do have the Forest short to follow. Is there going to be a bit of a race for Phosphorus potentially? We've got Wolverine versus Sota. This is the player versus player battle, so we'll stick with this one. And Sota finds Scoriox. The Scoriox is here. The big carry. Track saying, how in the world can I stay under level 7 for so long and not find a bloody monk? That's actually kind of crazy. So I see where that was going. That could have potentially been a 3 Berserker. The one Illuvial ready to maybe go Berserk onto Sota is going to be this Phosphorus. It has been evolved into best case scenario here for Wolverine. Let's ride along with that Phosphorus. Let's see if it can get some decent Ghosts and Screams. Looking for that little echo that comes on through. It's going into the back line. It's going into the Adorito, actually, and into the tank line here as well. Getting tons of splash damage, and of course with that Hyperforce reactor, it's going to get faster and faster in terms of attack speed the longer this goes on. But the Scoriox, it has it in its sights and immediately blasts it down. There was no safety net for that Phosphorus. It gets taken down, and Wolverine, I imagine, will probably get knocked out here as soon as that Scoriox takes care of that Goliath. There it goes. Heck, the Gnarl is still full HP. A valiant effort, as always, here for Wolverine. Going to make third, make it into the prizing, but they will be eliminated in this one at third place. Which leads us down to a battle as old as time at this point here. We have Sota versus Dr. Spoon. Both of them have spent basically everything in the bank, and with that comes this ramp fire here for Dr. Spoon. Ready to rock and get into that corner composition. I imagine it's loaded up with some Omega power. Doc wants this thing to hop in and hit hard. But where can it thread the needle? You have to go now in between a Blotto that is here. A very tanky front line here for Sota with 3 Aegis and then the 2 Verdants plus Magma as well. So there is going to slowly but surely be a timer here onto the aggressive Illuvials coming out from Dr. Spoon. Rampfire, oh my god, it got a good spot actually. Right in between the Adorito and the Grocko. The stun doesn't come out in time. Big damage, half damage essentially done to so many Illuvials, but the stun comes on through from the Grocko of all things to stop a second Infernal Skyfall from coming through, and that's going to allow for Sota to absolutely tear through the rest of this team. Dr. Spoon down the 3. And that's kind of heartbreaking because I don't think Sota is going to let you make that mistake twice. The Grocko, that tiny little space right there was enough to fit a ramp fire last time. Nearly took the back line out, brought them down to half, but the Archos and the rest of the natural healing from that nature team came in clutch alongside the Ranger. All upgrades here. Jotun is now here as well. Level 64. Absolute monsters on the battlefields, but for potentially the last time, let's see how it goes. The Rampfire finds the spot right into the corner once again. Let's see these damage charts. Infernal Skyfall hits nearly everything, but the shield comes on through big time. One more time, Infernal Skyfall does not get the damage out in time, but the Polar Bear is still alive this time. That it's being focused. Its shields comes on through nicely. Dr. Spoon, can they get the Scoriox? They do! The Polar Bear's weak, but the Furiox and the Fur Knight are still shooting from the back lines, and that's going to be huge. Dr. Spoon, not done just yet. Already mentioning it took them forever to find a TNT. Sometimes, even though they're tier 1s, they can be extremely elusive. I have no idea why that happens. And then Sota playing my corner comp and winning with it. Paying homage, I suppose, here to Dreknian. Using the Aegis not to buff necessarily the Scoriox, but keep the tanks extremely tanky. One final move here for Sota to maybe catch the jump onto Dr. Spoon. Can the Rampfire thread the needle for the third time? No, it's finally been mitigated off to the right-hand side in between a Goliant and a Blotto. A rough spot to be in, but that Rampfire Omega is still very, very wide. It did catch a couple of the other Illuvials. Shots fired from the Scoriox takes care of the ramp fight, and this looks like a very decisive battle. Scoriox open fire. It takes care of the Jotun in just a matter of times, I imagine. There it goes. With the tanks gone, it only leaves the squishy bits, and Sota Hype is going to be your winner here in the Monarch Masters main event for our Illuvium Arena House League. Congratulations, Sota, on yet another victory. Nicely done. Whew. Of course, GG's to everybody, regardless of where you finished. But to go over the full result, Sota pulls off the Drac build, getting Aegis plus Nature with the Scoriox as well. Gonna get first. PSOP, also known Dr. Spoon, picking up Inferno Arcanites and had a beautiful Rampfire in Jotun here for assistance. Could not get it done this time by, but still second. Very, very strong. Wolverine 777 Hype with the Dust Enchanter. Granted, also involved in this one as well. Very beefy team. That Phosphorus at the last little bit got scary as well, but could not get the job done this time by, but still manages a third. Draknian barely going to be missing the podium with something a little bit different. Looking for a Berserker build, but the damn Monk Hero of all things eluded them. Still got them all the way up to fourth nonetheless. Zyphet, not bad considering he hopped in 2 seconds before the game started as a substitute, so thank you so much for doing that. Went for the Behemoth side of things, could not get that online, but the Inferno team getting him up to fifth. Hector, oddly enough, again contested for Rogues with the Illuvium Hunter, who came up through the Lynx League. With both of the Rogue players battling out amongst each other, Hector was able to get the Umber, and it got him up to 6, but unfortunately ran out of steam there. And Okacho, last but not least, went for an Earth-based style, Eggman-based kind of style actually, but the Furiox could not keep itself safe. Going to fall in 8th place, but no matter what, GG's to everybody. Always a pleasure seeing you all on the battlefield like this. Oh. All right, let's get that all documented down. Spreadsheet flashbang in progress. Sota gets first. Wolverine third. Dr. Spoon second. You like the Exalted Grocko? It was cool seeing it stick around. It wasn't so cool when it let the Rampfire in the first time, but thankfully it still came in clutch with a little stun at the end there. That worked out. Greg says, I rolled so hard at 5, got the Kukarap in Gyro stage 3, but no monk ears. Madness indeed. And that's one of the things about this game, right? You can have the strategy in mind, but there is still a bit of a random chance as to what actually comes through the shop. I know personally it happens with me all the time when I'm rolling for Seaforest. Nobody's got a snail on the field, but for whatever reason, I can't find a snail to save my life. Yeah, the Rampfire in the corner, right in the middle of your corner. Yeah, that was kind of terrifying, but at least in that last one, it got mitigated off to the side, so it worked out. Now to go over the pricing here that everybody's been earning from playing in today's Illuvium Arena House League. Again, this is just a free event. You just show up and you get stuff. I don't know how much better it gets than that, but from the top with our newcomers with the Carablu Cup, Ethit's going to be having some community rescue Illuvials coming their way, including potentially a Tier 5 Stage 1 alongside 3 Illuvial packs. Robert Tacho going to be picking up 2 packs for the second place finish in the Carablu Cup. Illuvium Hunter for first place in the Lynx League, 6 packs on the way for them. Gatling going to be scoring 4 packs for themselves. Sejak Wildfire going to get 2. And then for the 3rd week in a row on the podium, congrats there. Sota, the big winner, winning the Monarch Masters main event. Of course, the prizes, as the difficulty goes up, so does the amount of prizing, and that's why Sota picking up 10 Illuvial packs here today, with Dr. Spoon short to follow with 6, Wolverine 777 going to be getting 6 packs for the 3rd place finished. And of course, in regards to the community rescue, once again, that is in regards to the Silence House community rescue, where there is a bit of a multi-purpose community building aspect as a part of this, where first and foremost, any of the Illuvials that I pulled from Deathmatch that I didn't have many of, I'm trying to get at least 2 of every single Illuvial, because God forbid everybody goes crazy on Deathmatch and we get to the point where we have Illuvials endangered. I want to have at least 2 in case breeding ever becomes a thing in Illuvium, whether it be Obelisk Rising or then how I want it to be in Illuvium 0, to potentially keep that Illuvial family alive through the community rescue. And then for all the Illuvials that we have at least 3 or more, those are Carablu Cup prizes. I look into the Carablu Cup players, the ones that end up winning. These ones are in regards to, when I look them up rather, I see if they are missing any sort of Illuvial. It doesn't matter the TPI. I'm just saying in regards to getting something into their collection. If they want to go to the marketplace or open up packs later to try and get a better one, sure, that's fine. They can go do that later. But getting them something that they can at least build their collection, fill out their collection through community donated Illuvials. That's the whole idea with the Silence House community rescue. So in regards to how much TPI should those have, it does not matter. I do not care. It can be a 9 TPI, it could be a 0. All that matters is that it's here. I'm not looking for the best of the best. I'm just looking for something so that we can keep the Illuvial family alive in case it goes endangered, or something to fill out a newcomer's roster. That's the idea behind it. And of course, before I close out, I do want to again give the call out to the fact that I'm going to be streaming 5 days a week starting this week coming up. We have a fun one on Monday where we're going to see how many ways can I manage to use Monarch in a team that is not Inferno Arcanite. And if I can't get Monarch, how can I utilize the Arctaces in team compositions? But basically, Monday is Poodle Moth Day. I'm going to try and figure out how I can make teams around them without using Inferno Arcanite. Tuesday, we're going to tap into Illuvium Deathmatch, go over the biggest winners of the past little while, potentially of the week, and then cast some live matches. Looking forward to that. I've only did a deathmatch stream once since release, so looking forward to touching in on that again on Tuesday. This week in Illuvium will be, of course, our usual news show on Wednesday, hopefully for some good news. Again, I've been very adamant over the last 2 episodes that as much as I love Illuvium, I'm very disappointed right now with how things have been handled in regards to removing auto drone runs and then just features straight up disappearing without any sort of communication, any sort of warning. It's unfortunately very rug-like behavior, and I know Illuvium's better than that. So I am hoping for a big turnaround for them this week coming around, because I love the community, I love the game, I love what this game could be, but I cannot love that behavior, so I'm hoping for a turnaround this week. I'm going to be trying hard on Thursday, pushing for the top 20. It's going to be tough, but I think I can at least get close. We'll see how we do on Thursday. And then, of course, Illuvium Arena House League back on Friday, but with ownership turned off. Everybody's going to have the same playing field. We'll treat this like a little bit of a tournament of sorts, where, say, round 1, top 4 move into the next round, so to speak. We'll do it that way. So we'll see how it goes there. If you are one of those players that think that you're a top player, but you're just being held back because of the levels and TPI of your Illuvial, well, next Friday is your day. I'd love to see what happens when the playing field is all evened up. But with that being said, we are going to be calling it a stream there. It's been an absolute fantastic time. Still having tons of fun here with Illuvium Arena House League. Big shoutouts to Illuvium as well for providing the skulls, which turn into the packs that the Illuvium, or that summon the Illuvials, that get sent out to everybody as a part of prizing here for Illuvium Arena House League. Again, I might give Illuvium hell on certain things, but I am still very, very thankful for everything. Illuvium owes me nothing, but I'm thankful that they help provide the community with awesome events like these. And big thank you, of course, to everybody, whether it be tuning in, playing, both, what have you. It's an absolute pleasure having you in, week out. And yeah, we're doubling down. We're going to be pushing even harder, even though Illuvium's in a little bit of a quiet period right now. It is what it is. There is still so much on the horizon, and I'm still very, very hopeful for the future here of Illuvium. December is going to come up quick. Well, Obelisk Rising, more Illuvium Beyond content, I imagine, right around the corner. Of course, that celebration set not too long ago. And potentially, if something happens with Illuvium Zero, you know I'm going to be popping off as well. And then with Illuvium Arena, I would love to see something happen for that. Even just a balanced patch at this point here. I know they're thinking about it. It's just a matter of getting things done. And if there could somehow be any sort of resources diverted to Arena to turn this into a more friendly spot for newcomers, I would be breakdancing, and I can't dance to save my life. So I would, it would be a hell of a lot of fun. But we're going to go at it no matter what. And my pleasure. I see everybody in the chat here with all the thanks. Thank you so much. Again, it's because of you guys that I got my spark back to begin with, and you're the reason why it stays lit. So thank you so much. But the spark, in order to stay alive, needs to actually eat dinner. So I'm going to be calling it a night here. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. I will see you on Monday for some more Illuvium Arena. Take care, everybody.
Woke up tired, didn't sleep all night. Mine's still running like a traffic light. Red for stop and green for go. I'm stuck somewhere in between them both. Brushed my teeth and checked my phone. Everyone looks like they've already grown. Smiling faces, perfect lives. I'm here asking, what am I doing with mine? I don't have a plan, I just have today. Trying not to throw the little good away. Heart still heavy, but I'm still here. Taking one small step through the fear. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm scared, but I'm still showing up. One small step is enough today. I'm not fine, but I'm on my way. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm scared, but I'm still showing up. One small step is enough today. I'm not fine, but I'm on my way.